Hello everyone, I'm Kim and welcome to my sewing room. I'm going to kickstart this video off by dedicating it to the hashtag what's on your sewing table, which was put as a challenge by Zelda Sews. So I thought it was an excellent hashtag because I have always got a lot going on in my sewing room, and I refer to it as being chaotically organised. It always looks a mess, but I do know where everything is. And I am a very sporadic sewer. So when I come into my sewing room, even though I might have been working on something and nearly finished it, I will go off on a tangent and I will start something else or pick something else that I have been working on. So I'm going to share what I've worked on this week, and majority of it is actually on my sewing table as I speak. But as usual, I'm just going to kickstart the video off with what I'm wearing. So this blouse you've seen before, this is Simplicity 9467, and I think I've made two of these. I made this one first of all, and I made one in a silk, which I showed you a few weeks ago, that I pulled out of my WIP box, and I finished that off, and that is a beautiful blouse. Not the easiest fabric to work in, but oh god, you know, if you persevere with silk, it just has the most fantastic feel on the body. It's really nice, and especially now the weather is starting to get warmer, it is such a nice fabric to wear. But this fabric is from Sherwood's. It's a cotton lawn, a Lady McElroy cotton lawn, and it is, I'm trying to think what it's called. What was it called? Cobra Corsage Kiwi. And I didn't have a lot of this fabric in my stash, but I managed to eke out this blouse, and because I didn't have as much fabric as they suggested, my pattern placement wasn't as I would have liked. So the front panels you will see are very similar. So I stand up, so you can see it's a collar on a collar band. It has a open front button placket. It has a front and a back yoke, and it has this ruffle just above the bust line, and the ruffle carries on into the back, and it's a really nice design. And under the ruffle you have gathers, and then all cascades down to this floaty blouse. Now, because I didn't have as much fabric as they suggested, my pattern placement wasn't great. So I have two sides that are very similar, and I would have preferred them not to have been. But at the end of the day, you just have to work with what you've got, and I still made up a beautiful blouse, and I do like to wear this blouse. It is such a nice colour, and I do like the green. So that is Simplicity 9467.
So I thought I'd just do a quick video showing you actually what is on my sewing table. So at the top you can see there are 5 Alfie Rabbits. 4 of them are for my client, and 1 of them is for Daisy, my sewing buddy. And here you can see the waistcoats that have been made and ready to go on the rabbits, and I will show you those in more detail. Then we have some pom-poms, which are the rabbits' tails, and they would also be sewn onto the Alfies. Next I have a pattern which I've traced out. So I bought the Marnie pattern from Tilly and the Buttons, and I spent time tracing out the pattern as I normally do, and I have started making my first blouse in that size. So this is a working twirl, and it's coming together really nicely. So here you can see it's partially finished, but hopefully you will see that soon as a completed garment. And then Here are some new plastic folders. So I bought some new plastic folders because I want to introduce some new paper patterns into my stash, my sewing machine with my Alfie book that I've been working off of to make the Alfie Rabbit clothes. And here are all the cut trouser patterns which I'm going to start stitching up after I finish the video. I also have been thinking about making a hat, a bucket hat, to use up the last little remnants of that fabric that I've used for the Marnie blouse. And then randomly at the top here I've got some hexes which I have been making up in green coloured fabric, which I might make a bag.
I have been working on lots of unfinished projects this week. So I have been working on my Lunar Lapin Alfie Rabbits. So I have 5 of them on the go, and you saw those last video, and the rabbits have actually been completed, and I have been working on the clothes. So I have got I put a little image of the rabbits, so you'll see the rabbits. They're all waiting to be dressed, and most of them now have shirts on. I've still got one shirt to make, and yesterday and the day before I finished up all of the little waistcoats. So I've got this little waistcoat in the pink with a check lining. It's adorable, with these buttons and the snap poppers. And believe me, sewing on the snap poppers and the tiny little buttons probably takes me longer to do than it does to actually make up the waistcoat. So there's one. The second one is here with striped lining. It's really pretty. And just to make those aware, because I know a few of you get concerned about buttons and tiny buttons and children, these have been sewn on really securely. They are not going anywhere. So and at the end of the day, these rabbits aren't for children. They're commemorative pieces, so they shouldn't actually fall into the hands of children, but if they do, all the buttons have been sewn on very securely. So that's the third one with pink striped lining. And the fourth waistcoat is this one here, which is like a miniature dog tooth pattern and a flowery lining. So I finished all the waistcoats, and on my machine I am ready to make the trousers. So they've all been cut out and they're ready to be sewn up, and they are pretty quick, so I'm hoping to do those quite quickly. I'm arranging to meet the client next Thursday, so I will hand over all of these completed rabbits. Also made some little pom-poms for the tails, so they will go on. And I also have some brown embroidery thread which I will use to make their noses. So their noses also need to be completed. So they are probably about 90% finished, so I haven't got that much more to do, but I have thoroughly enjoyed working on them. But I have got to the point now where I just want to get them finished and out the door to the client. So when they are finished, I will take a photo of them before I hand them over to clients, and I will show that to you next week. So those are the rabbits. Now I have also been working on a new pattern. I have a lot of patterns in my room, and most of them are from the big 4 companies. And I've been sewing probably for over 40 years, and I do have a lot of patterns, and I do try to keep them, I do cull them every so often. And I did find that when we started going through the pandemic, that's when I really started getting back into my sewing, because my son actually left home during the pandemic, so he moved in with his girlfriend around the corner, and there was a room begging, so I made the room into my sewing room, and I've crammed it full of goodies, and I come into this sewing room a lot because everything is set up and I can just come into this room and do stuff as and when I want to. So if I've got a half an hour in between clients, I can come up and just do a little bit of work, and then I can leave it and then just close the door and continue working. So for me, it has allowed me to get back into my sewing, and I constantly sewing. I sew literally every day, even if it's just half an hour. I sew in between work and evenings and weekends. So I am very fortunate to have my sewing room, but I had decided through the pandemic that I wanted to expand my paper pattern stash, and I started to look into indie patterns, and I have bought quite a few, but I have never bought a Tilly and the Buttons pattern before, and I have seen quite a few YouTubers show off their Marnie blouses, and I love tucks. I love pin tucks on blouses, and this pattern has been calling out to me for a while, and I saw it when I was scrolling on my phone the other day. It popped up and I just thought I'm gonna get it. So I got the Marnie blouse pattern, and I have been working on that. So that is currently on my sewing table at the moment, and generally I don't normally show you the garments that I'm working on. I usually only show you those once they have finished, but this blouse, now you will recognize the fabric because I made my daughter's pajamas in this fabric, and I had some left, and I just thought it's just so pretty. So it's nearly finished. It's still got one sleeve to go, and you can see all these beautiful tucks on that front yoke, and there's also tucks on the sleeve, and it is coming together really well. So I reckon there's probably about 20 minutes work there, so I should have that finished and be wearing that next week, so you can see that on me, and I'm quite excited about that. So that took me a while to get started on that, because you know that I trace off my pattern. So with the Marnie, I have traced off all of the pattern pieces just to preserve the original, because patterns are quite expensive now, and I do find it takes me a while to find my size, so I generally make something about 3 times until I get to a stage where I'm really happy with it, so I make adjustments. But at the moment the Marnie is going really well, and I think because it has a very floaty design to it, I don't foresee any problems. And I followed Tilly's measurements, and the nice thing about her pattern was that she doesn't follow the normal sizing that you have on the big 4 patterns. She has just sized her patterns from 1 up until 15. So 1 is a UK 6, a US 2, right up to a size 15, which is a UK 34 or a US 30. So it's got a nice size range there. And the nice thing is, because I've had to look at the measurements of the bust, waist and hips, it makes you focus more on the size that is relevant to you, rather than keep making the same size up that you would normally do in a big 4 pattern. So I quite like that. And as this is my first Tilly and the Buttons pattern, I was very impressed by by the booklet that came with it. The booklet is really, really nice. The instructions, the layout instructions and the pattern instructions are really precise and very clear, and I've been very impressed by this pattern, and it's been an absolute joy to sew up so far, and I can see myself making more of these, so I'm quite excited about getting that blouse finished and on, and hopefully you will agree with me when you see it next week finished on me. So that is my Marnie blouse. I have decided not to talk about my future sewing plans because I have so many things on the go at the moment. As you know, I have a summer cardigan, I have the Dior brooch, I have oh god, the Queen of Diamonds quilt, the Raindrops Are Falling on Your Head quilt. There are so many things going on that I have decided to try and stop myself starting anything fresh, because I need to just rein myself in a bit and concentrate on getting some of these projects that are, some of them are like 3/4 of the way finished. Like my Queen of Diamonds quilt is 3/4 of the way finished, and I just need to now work on it and get that finished before I start the next project. So hopefully you'll see some more of those completed going forward in the next couple of videos. But I have decided that I'm going to change the format of my videos going forward, because I think I probably have too many things on the go, and I'm not only confusing myself with them, I'm obviously confusing you, my lovely subscribers, because you just never know what's coming up. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to probably just have videos dedicated to specific projects. So they probably will be shorter videos, but then be more precise and focused on something that I'm working on and making in its entirety, and then I'll make a separate video for other things as well, so that you then have a choice on what you want to watch. I mean, some of you might not be interested in quilting, so therefore you can avoid my quilting videos and just concentrate on the garment videos. And I must admit, now the weather is starting to get nicer, I am really keen to make some dresses in some of my lovely fabric that I have in my stash. So I think that's it for today, and if you're a subscriber, I hope you will stay with me with my changed format, and any of you that aren't subscribers and you've enjoyed the content, it'd be great if you could become one of my subscribers. And as usual, have a lovely week. I hope you get some sewing done, and I will see you all very soon. Take care. Bye.